So thanks everybody who's joined this LinkedIn live session and also Maven at the same time. That's why it's a little tricky to get everything set up at once. What we're going to talk about today is people who are having issues with their AI automation and digital transformation programs and the typical mistakes that they're making in doing that. And what I'm going to run through as well is just typical things which are happening, how to fix it, and a couple of key ingredients that I think are very important for people to stick to. And this comes from, having quite a lot of years of experience running this for many years. So yeah, I've been in this space now for 20 years, and the thing is, it's been a massive journey. I've ran some of the world's biggest AI programs in Citigroup, United Health Group, and I've ran programs both as a vendor providing technology solutions, as an employee in a company running these programs, and also from other angles as well. And what I've learned throughout the years is that, there's about 4 or 5 key ingredients that you really cannot miss out when it comes to a program like this. And the importance is something that can really change, the performance of the actual program itself. And, it can cause you to have massive success, or if you miss these things out, you will definitely fail as well. So it's very important that you take a couple of notes, and of course after the live as well, that we can connect and we can go through any questions that you may have as well. So the first thing I would say is it's a little obvious, but I think it's very important that you don't doubt yourself. If you're running one of these programs or you want to start one of these programs and you have doubts over the capabilities of these technologies, then I think you need to go back to the drawing board and learn a little bit more about it. It's very important that you realize that these are transformational technologies. When we talk about automation, AI, digital transformation, and in the next slide, I'm going to show you a couple of numbers, impacts that I'm seeing myself in programs that I've ran, programs that I'm running. And this is the first thing you should squash. If you're running a program like this and you have any of these doubts, seek some help. Ask a consultant to help you, a consultancy, do a bit of research. Make sure that you understand that, this is a tool, right? These are all tools, and these are tools which are only successful if they're implemented with the right strategies. So if you're not able to get any success from it, it's not going to be because of the tool itself. It's going to be because of not having the right people working in these areas, and also not, being able to implement these tools means that, it's not the tool itself. It's going to be a little bit of human error. And you'll see a couple of these suggestions that I'm going to make as well in relation to this. So let's go to the first slide, which is really about, what kind of impact am I personally seeing with my programs, with the programs that I am helping people on. It's very important that people look at these stats, because these are really big numbers. When I look at a company of any size and I look at, is this company an athlete? I think of them as athletes, or as a race car in a race. Any millisecond, any second makes a drastic difference. And when you look at the bottom here, the impact that AI and automation is having on, these different departments that every company has, the lowest number we see there is 20%, the highest is 60. 20% improvement, even if you take the lowest, it's a significant change, right? If you made an athlete 20% better, the athlete is probably going to be a world champion, probably win most of the medals in many of the Olympics. And 60% is just a completely reimagined company. And on the screen there is many of the things that I've used AI and automation for, which I think you should also look into as well. Every company is a little different, has different priorities, but I think it's very important that you take note of these case studies and uses of these technologies in these different departments. Whenever people think about automation and AI, they think about, really operations. They don't think about too much about the IT side, HR, marketing, and finance. So this is why I've put this on the screen, just to kind of help you understand that a little bit better. And at the bottom, when I say 20 to 60%, what do I actually mean? So this can be seen in different ways. It's a mixture of tangible and intangible benefits. So when I say 20%, 40% better, I'm talking about speed. I'm talking about cost. I'm talking about revenue per FTE going up. I'm talking about risks and errors going down by the same volume or more. I'm talking about tangible benefits, tangible improvements in revenue, tangible improvements on EBITDA that companies are seeing at the bottom line. Again, uh, take note, there are companies that are seeing a fraction of these numbers, maybe even negative numbers for a period of time. So it does take around 1 or 2 years for these programs to start kicking in and to start making a difference that is measurable. So it's very important to take note of that as well. It's important as well to realize that again, without having the right professionals, without having the right technology in place, it's going to be pretty impossible for these numbers to come to fruition. So it's very important, again, that you take note. Like any tool, any mechanic, and anybody involved in that kind of space, if you don't have the right professional doing it, you're never going to see numbers like this. So yeah, very, very important that this is understood. And this is why sometimes you get these horror stories of companies who are using automation and AI, and they're just not seeing these kinds of benefits. So yeah, you got to have the right tools, got to have the right people, the right culture. So one thing that I avidly believe in is it's very important that you have a digital transformation strategy because I see automation and AI as tools in the digital transformation strategy truck. And the center of all of this is having the right strategy, having the right culture. I think it's so vitally important that, if you have all of these ingredients in place, but you don't have a good strategy to implement this, which we'll go through in a second, and you don't have the right culture, then you're making a massive mistake and you're actually not going to see the kind of success that I showed you in the previous slide. So let's start with process reengineering. There is no point in trying to digitally transform a business on bad processes. It's very important that you take stock of what is currently happening in the company today, how are people doing the tasks that they are doing, and then making sure that you re-engineer them to be optimized for the different types of tech and the new approach that you're going to take. Once you've done that, you have to lock that new way of working, those new workflows into a workflow engine. So what do I mean by that? I'm talking about apps like Pipefy, Appian, Pega, many of them, Bizagi, K2. There are many workflow engines out there. You have to pick the one that's right for you and run RFP, RFI. But the main messaging here is if you don't take the good processes that you've re-engineered, and if you don't put them inside of these workflow engines, what is going to happen? It's the same things that were happening in the year 2000 when Kaizen Kaiban was being rolled out by so many different consultancies. They would come in, check the processes, make everything better, and as soon as they stepped out of that door after 6 months of laborious work, everybody went back to the old way of working. Everybody went back to using Excel sheets. So unfortunately, humans are humans, and they really need to be guided. So once you've worked out how people should be working, once you've done the engineering of the processes, it's very important that you lock that in a system, which is a workflow engine. I've mentioned a couple of names. If you want to have other names, just reach out to me. I'm happy to help. So now you have locked in the work inside a system, a workflow engine. Then what happens next? Something wonderful happens. You end up unlocking business intelligence that you've never had before. So before, when you have operations and all these different departments working, you actually don't really know how many emails are coming in. You don't really know who is doing what exactly. You don't know how long people are taking on tasks. You don't have that business intelligence. You don't have that insight to all of these stats of the day-to-day operations. If you have a workflow engine and everybody's working inside of it, following the steps that's been designed for them, you will have a real-time understanding of what everybody is doing at any time. And at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, you're going to have a very good impression of what's going on, how long processes are taking, how many errors were made, who needs to get extra training. And you will, in the end, also just have a much better idea of what's going on, even if you're going to be hiring more people. If you know the volume of work and how long it's taking, you can much easier calculate properly if you need to hire more people next year or not. So that there's a lot of benefits of having a workflow engine. It's relatively difficult to do, but again, it can be done over a space of a 6 to 12 month period for most companies if it's a decent sized department. But then after that, fantastic. So then we go to data and architecture. So for you to really do very well in automation and in AI, you need to have your data in check, right? This argument of people that people have sometimes around, um, if the chicken and egg situation, which one came first? It's very important that people realize that there actually is no argument around this. For me, it's extremely clear. Um, there is a data first, right? Is data is second after task. Task is what creates data. Data isn't created out of thin air. So it's very important that people look at data first as a result of having really well-defined processes. And that has to be stored correctly. You have to have a single source of truth. Of course, in large companies, this is a very complicated topic because there are many sources of truth. There are many CRMs. But anyway, that's important. And I'll explain why later. Intelligent automation, of course, is the usual RPA, computer vision, OCR type stuff that we've seen before. But now that you have good processes and it's inside a workflow engine, you have a place that robots and humans can work next to each other. Now, this has never happened before, where you have human workers and automation robots working together in a really easy to understand way. Before, you just had to wait for a robot to finish something. Then as a human, you go ahead and take it away and complete it. But now, if you have both humans and intelligent automation working inside of a workflow engine, you have real-time information, you have real-time coordination between humans and robots, and also between departments as well. So it's very, very important. And that you have these ingredients beforehand if you want to really break the ceiling on automation. And I can't go into it too much here, but um, this is very important for you to really see to achieve those numbers that I mentioned to you before. Okay, now we get to AI and Gen AI, the thing that everybody wants, but not many people know how to do it. So the important thing here is that people then take this technology, they embed it into the digital transformation strategy, which the basics here on the screen, and then they make sure that it is well connected to the workflow engines and that it's well connected to the data sets that you've been setting up, the single sources of truth. And also, I see AI and Gen AI being very closely connected to intelligent automation programs. So, it's important that people understand that these are separate things, but I got it. Okay. But they are connected in many ways. And there's things that they do, they do benefit from each other. Now, when companies go to set up the AI, Gen AI, very important that if they're on Azure, they set up their Azure sandboxes. They install, if it's going to be Claude, if it's going to be OpenAI, they install it on their actual servers or inside of the firewall setup, cloud setup, so that they can be used safely. And then from that point onwards, it's white labeling. It's all of these things that allow you to put the branding, to make it feel like the company, the knowledge base, the training that you put into the LLMs. But yeah, for me, if you don't have AI as part of a wider digital transformation strategy, and if you don't complete these 3 or 4 steps beforehand, and you don't have a clear strategy and culture, you actually will never achieve what you're supposed to achieve with these very powerful technologies. So it's very, very important that this is put in place. Everybody skips this and they go straight to automation, automating bad processes, no workflow engine, no operational intelligence, the data is everywhere. So of course, then when they start doing AI programs, it's going to be a complete mess. So it's very important that you have all of these steps in place before you think about having an AI program or even an automation program. Now, this squiggly line that goes around multiple times and then points to something called autonomous enterprise. For me, this is a very clear message. If you have digitized everything that you're doing into a workflow engine, you will start building an audit log of what everybody is doing. That audit log is very, very useful for people to then use as a training set for LLMs in order to produce some of these tasks in the workflow engine by themselves by using connectors and objects, etc., in Python code. So this is probably the thing that's worth $10 million, euros, pounds. I'll say it again. Having a workflow engine gives you an audit trail of everything a company is doing that can be used as a training set for people to then apply AI and Gen AI for. And that's the only way a company can start to achieve true autonomous enterprise status, where the AI is running through some of the processes, running through some of the steps in the workflow engine, and then completing it by itself through agency, which can be achieved in many, many ways. And then what ends up happening is a robot or an AI that was doing maybe 20% of a process starts to do 30%, 40%, 50%. And that's how you achieve those numbers that I showed in the previous slides. Very, very, very important. So I hope that was the golden nugget drop for most people, and that's the thing that's going to help them. Again, reach out to me if you have questions. This is a new concept for a lot of people. A lot of people have not figured this out. And this is, again, the only route to autonomous enterprise. You can put as much AI and automation into your company as you want. You will never achieve that unless you have a centralized system with an audit trail in order to train your LLMs. So every powerful technology needs structure and needs governance, right? And for me, this is discipline. Without discipline, you can't go anywhere in life. And without discipline, you cannot transform companies. So what do I mean by that? I mean that for you to have a real impact, for you to create a culture in your company, you must have top level executive accountability. The top execs in the company, the CEO, the COO, etc., they are sponsoring these programs. They are showing their face. They are putting ink to pen and signing this in blood. Very important. Without that top level responsibility, it does not go into people's objectives. It doesn't become an important thing for people to go and carry out and to think about on a daily basis. There must be an innovation team who is playing with these technologies, they're running POCs, and then they're working in collaboration with the different departments in order to show them and to solve some of their problems through these POCs. Once these departments have bought into these POCs and these POCs are really making an impact, it is then very important that this is shown to the rest of the business through business cases, through a PMO office, or if you're too small to have a PMO office, you show it directly. Why business cases? Because business cases goes back to business, right? POC is a little bit of a lab experiment. But if you bring it back to real life, real money, each of these POCs for them to scale needs to be a conscious business investment decision, investment of time, money, people. Once those business cases have been approved, they need to get exec sponsorship. They need to be in front of the exec committee so that you can showcase to the top management and board how things are shifting, how things are moving in that company. So the team comes up with solutions, plays with it, tweaks it until it's good enough. When it's scalable, present business cases, get top exec management to support you and to represent it. Very important. The next thing you need in terms of structure and governance is, of course, something as important as digital transformation, as AI, as automation, has to be part of a company's corporate strategy. Very, very important. If it's not part of the company's objectives and strategy, what's going to happen? It's never going to trickle down into people's objectives for that year. Okay? I've seen companies trying to run AI automation, digital transformation programs without ever really talking about it in their corporate strategy or not talking about it seriously enough. And what ends up happening? People don't have it as their objectives. And if people don't have something as their objectives, trust me when I say this, nothing happens. Nothing will move, nothing will progress, nothing at all. because the thing that impacts people's promotions, people's bonuses, and the progression that people have in their careers is if they meet their objectives, right? And usually their objectives are derived from the company's objectives. So very, very important that this happens. Right. For me, this is a culture seed planter. If you embed digital transformation programs into a company's corporate strategy, it's up there as the most important 4 or 5 things a company does. You will plant a seed in the company in 2 ways, in a natural way and also by force. So by natural way means people see it there, they see it's important, they will start reading about it, they'll start trying to support these initiatives when it comes across their desk. And by force, what I mean is if it becomes parts of people's objectives, everybody in a company, every regional department, team, junior employee, then by force, they have to care about it because that's the very thing that's going to impact their yearly bonuses, promotions, etc. So for me, culture is a thing that you lead by example, by putting it in the company structure, by having the top executives talk about it, and you then make it livable and enforceable by putting it part of people's objectives. It's worked very well for me in my programs. I think everybody should be doing that. So here I'm going to talk just a little bit about the power of small. So what I mean by that is, again, going back to those POCs I mentioned before, having these innovation teams working with departments to find solutions to their pain points and problems, and then looking at it very carefully if those particular POCs can scale. And if they can, make the business cases, go to the next level. What I see a lot of companies doing, which is a terrible mistake, and that's why in the industry we have something called the 3-hit wonder, where many of these AI automation digital transformation programs start and end 3 times before they're successful, is because companies, they tend to go in too big. They go in with a massive team, they go hire a massive consultancy firm to run it for them, pay hundreds of thousands, and then they go in and they realize, oh crap, we need a lot of benefits out of this to pay for this program. Or they go in with too little, not enough people, nobody that really knows how to do this stuff, people that kind of learned it off YouTube, and then hope that they're going to be able to transform the company. So none of those approaches are correct, obviously. The right approach is to have a decent size investment, but not too big, hire consultants, not consultancies, in my opinion, unless it's a small consultancy who's boutique. Start small, do some POCs, have some successful business cases, and then as you start scaling those POCs into large deployments, into departments, into regions, then you will start seeing everything snowball. But don't go directly to that snowball at the end because that's a complete waste of everybody's time and money. So this is a very short version, a very short part of a wider course that I'm running. And I really recommend this for anybody in the AI automation space. I recommend this for C-level as well to understand AI better and how that can change the valuation of their company. I recommend this to board members, anybody that wants to get into this space and they want a head start. So there is a course in Maven. It's a platform. It's on my profile for LinkedIn as well. And it's just for this week alone. Today is the last day. I am running a 50% off early bird discount just to get things started and also to allow some people that maybe can't afford the full price to pay a smaller price. And this course is going to be very, very focused on people being able to use AI in order to increase the company valuation. This is such a powerful course. It's generated hundreds of millions for some clients that I've helped. It's generated billions for a very few clients that I've also helped. So it does work, and I'm going to give you everything. It's going to be a 4 to 5 week course, twice a week, and I'm going to teach you everything I know about how to run these programs in depth. I'll give you all of my blueprints, everything. So I really recommend you check this out. And yeah, if you want to stay in touch, obviously, you can contact me on LinkedIn. Here are my QR codes. You can take pictures of those on the screen. And then connect with me. I've got a YouTube channel. I've got a podcast that I run and love. Instagram for those who like to do something a little bit more social. And then for work related, of course, for LinkedIn. And of course, my website as well. So there's many avenues you can connect me with. My email address is going to be on my website. And yeah, if you have any questions about anything I've presented, please feel free to ask. And I hope that this very short 30 minutes flash lightning course has helped you, helped you, give you a couple of nuggets just to get you started, or to get you, understanding this topic a little bit better. But yeah, anything you need, just connect with me offline. So yeah, I'll just stop sharing now. And I just wanted to say thank you to anybody that was online and anybody who's watching this afterwards as well. And yeah, I hope that you have a great day. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.